Hey guys, so I am sitting here waiting for my son to get out of orchestra practice, and I am feeling the nudge to make this video because I've had conversations with multiple people about this over the last few days, and I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm thinking maybe I ought to make a video about it. And it's about astrology and what astrology actually is. So astrology is just divine timing. It's just a clock in the sky that's telling us what time it is in the divine, spirit world. Because a lot of people think, like right now, currently we're in Mercury retrograde, and we also have a lunar eclipse in Virgo on Tuesday. And some people, they think, oh, it's eclipse season, it's making this and this happen, or it's Mercury retrograde and it's making this happen, or whatever. But it's not making anything happen. It's just time for certain things to happen. And just like the clock on the wall, it could say, like right now, it's about almost 3 o'clock. So the relationship between the 12 and the 3 on the clock doesn't make it 3 o'clock. It's just telling us that it's 3 o'clock, which means that my son will be getting out of practice here in a little bit. It's just telling me what time it is. It's keeping this schedule so that I know what time to pick up my son. But it's not, the clock is not making it 3 o'clock. It's just telling me that it's 3 o'clock so that I can keep my schedule in this 3D reality. The same thing goes with the planets in the sky. The planets in the sky are not making anything happen no more than the clock is making it 3 o'clock. The planets are just saying, hey, it's time for this in divine timing. So, for instance, we have a lunar eclipse coming up on Tuesday, and we're going to feel the energy surrounding that. Not because the planets are making anything happen, but the planets are just a symbol saying something, like wherever Virgo hits your chart and whatever other things are aspecting your natal chart, it's going to be affecting everyone in a different way. Some more prominently because it is like hitting their natal chart more directly, and others maybe less so. And then you'll see events happening in the collective, and especially whenever it's outer planets are involved. So I just wanted to share that because a lot of people think that the planets are making things happen, but that's not the case. The planets are it's like God created the universe. God created the planets. God created all the planets in the solar system. And part of that creation is a gift to tell us what time it is in our lives. I want to say this too, really quick, because I know there are some people in like spiritual traditions and stuff, they feel like astrology could be bad because they believe that astrologers are worshiping the planets or the gods of the planets. I personally do not know one astrologer who worships any of the gods of the planets or worships the planets. They just take the planets as a symbol, like an archetypal symbol of communication, of a language, speaking God through the language of astrology. So, just like nobody is going to, well, I can't say nobody, I don't know, but there are people out there who worship the 3 on a clock, like I said, it's just about 3 o'clock. Nobody's really worshiping the 3 or the 12, but they recognize that the 3 and the 12, the angle, how they're aspecting each other, the geometry of the big hand and the small hand, the geometry that they make between the 3 and the 12 make it 3 o'clock. Just like at noon, we know that that is about lunchtime. That's what it symbolizes. It's lunchtime. Or whatever time you go to bed. I don't know if you go to bed at like 10 o'clock. Whatever time you go to bed. You know that means it's bedtime because the big hand is on the 12 and the little hand is on the 10. And that is the relationship of the 10 and the 12. But it doesn't mean that you are worshiping them. You're just recognizing that this is what it means. And the same thing goes with the planets. It's like the energy, the archetype of the different planets, it's saying it's a certain time in divine timing. And I just wanted to kind of put that out there because it's not making anything happen. It's just a gift from God of communication to tell us like, hey, this is going to be coming up in your life, but you still have free will on how you respond to certain circumstances that come up in your life. So for instance, back in 2021, and this was before I really, because I personally, back in the day, I thought astrology was absolute horse poo. I did not, I was such a scientifically, analytically minded, and I was like, that's a bunch of BS, like before my spiritual awakening. But then I started to open up to it because I was like, I don't know, like I felt the shifts around the new moons and the full moons, and I was like, okay, maybe there is something to this astrology thing. So I kind of started to pay attention, but I didn't really know. And I'm just giving you an example in my life and how it played out before I even recognized that astrology, like how legit it actually is, and how this is such a literal example, because sometimes it makes me laugh how literal astrology is. So back in June of 2021, I was feeling called to leave my job. And what happened was, leading up to that, the company that I was working for got bought out by a bigger corporate company. And my job completely changed, and I was miserable, and I did not feel aligned with it anymore. And I'm a hard worker. I work hard. I'm very driven, and I'm very motivated. I'm a Capricorn sun, so I'll sleep when I die kind of mentality, So anyway, I was going to work every single day, and I was like hitting a wall. I would try to work, but I was just like, it's like trying to swim, like if you're trying to swim against a current and you're getting nowhere, and you're just exhausting yourself, and you're trying so hard, but you're getting absolutely nowhere because you're going against the resistance. And it was awful. It was straight up awful. Well, I didn't realize at the time that there was a lunar or a solar eclipse in Gemini coming up. In Gemini, I'm a Virgo rising. As a Virgo rising, Gemini is my 10th house of career. And there was a solar eclipse, like I said, there was a solar eclipse coming up in Gemini on June 10th. I did not know this. All I knew is that there was a new moon. I didn't know. I had no idea. But on June 9th, the day before the solar eclipse in Gemini, I had this switch go off inside of me. It was just like this internal switch, like, I'm done. Either I'm going to quit, or I am going to be fired, or I'm going to be staying here. And I just knew it was time. I knew it was time to let go. And I didn't know I didn't really know where I was going, but I just knew that I was going to be not there anymore. And it was that day on June 9th that I knew that I would be turning in my 2 weeks. And on June 10th, the day of the solar eclipse in Gemini, in my 10th house of career, that was the day that I turned in my 2 weeks at work. And I had no idea. I didn't know. Like, I didn't even know at that time that I was a Virgo rising. Like, that's how that's where I was at. So it was time for me for my career, my life and my career to eclipse itself. It was time for a shift, like a karmic, and that's the thing with eclipses. It's karmic shifts. It's like, it's big, fated events that are supposed to happen in your life. And it not only was that in my 10th house, but it was also conjunct the North Node, my North Node. So it was divine time for my career to shift. It was time for me to go in a new direction with my career. Had I known that at the time, I mean, I was already pretty at peace with it, because it just felt so like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I just knew that it was what I was supposed to do. But had I known that that was a solar eclipse in my 10th house, I probably would have been even at more peace with it, because I would have understood that this is where I was going. This is what I was supposed to be doing, or that it was divine timing, So anyway, I just kind of wanted to share that, because the thing is, with astrology, it is divine timing, but we have our own free will on how we navigate the divine timing. So that was, my solar eclipse in my career house, but that doesn't mean that I could have chosen a whole bunch of different ways to go about that. But I knew, I just felt it so strongly that it was time for me to put in my 2 weeks. I just knew. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, like, when you really start to tap in and explore astrology, it kind of puts you more at ease and at peace with certain circumstances in your life. You can surrender to the flow more gracefully because you understand, okay, this is coming up. I understand this is coming up because this is hitting this part of my chart and it's aspecting this. And because what it is, it's like the planets, it's like this evolving mandala in the sky that's like this wheel, this wheel in the sky that keeps on turning. And it's just, the planets are just this mandala. It's the clock that's constantly spinning. And your birth chart is a snapshot in that time. So what we do is we superimpose our birth chart, our natal charts, onto the current transits, and the geometry of like how the planets aspect one another can play out in our lives in certain ways, depending on what's going on in our lives and how directly certain transits are going to aspect our chart and things like that. Like, for instance, Mercury is retrograde right now, and as a Virgo rising, that affects my first house because Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Also, my 10th house of career is ruled by Mercury, which is Gemini, is ruled by Mercury. So every single time that Mercury goes retrograde, I experience a reevaluation in some way of my sense of self, and that's the first house. And also how that plays out in in my career, or how I show myself in the world, like how I am in the world, and that's 10th house. So even if Mercury is retrograde right now in Pisces, which is my 7th house of partnerships and collaboration, so I will feel that as well. And I have, and it's funny because just this past week, I've been talking to people about partnership and collaboration, and it's divine timing. Like, it just did, not only that, but the sun was conjunct the north node. I mean, there's so many pieces to it, and it's like, yeah, this is so in alignment. Duh, of course this is happening. And it just kind of validates what you're experiencing in your life. So anyway, I just wanted to share that in case any of you guys want to like talk about it, or if you want me to take a look at your chart and to see like if you're going through something in life right now and you're like, what the heck is going on? It's so validating. So anyway, astrology is just a beautiful way to communicate with God. It's not that we are worshiping the planets. It's not that the planets are orchestrating anything. God is using astrology to communicate with us, to communicate with God, to communicate with Source, Spirit, the creator of this universe, in order to bring us a sense of peace, a sense of a deeper level of surrender, a deeper connection to creation and our path in life. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. So yeah, if you have any questions, or like I said, if you want me to help you look at your chart and help you navigate any challenges that you might be going through right now, I'd love to help you with that. So anyway, that's it. Hope you guys are having a good day, and yeah, thanks for listening. All right, peace out.